my fellow readers. It is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications. Leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story and any future fan fictions you want me to read or review. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. This is a story that was actually suggested to me by the author himself. Let me page. I gotta remember the guy's name. It is the author of a story called Dan versus Everything by Nyan 22. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. And it is a Dan versus story. So, what this story does differently from all the other fan fictions I reviewed is two things. And I thought before I get into the review, I might as well talk about those two different things. The first one is that it's an episodic story. An episodic story is, I don't know if it's an official term, but it's a term what I would say are certain fan fictions that are written to bear in mind to look like an actual episode of the show you're trying to fan fiction, like this Dan versus. Dan versus is an adult cartoon about this paranoid conspiracy theorist named Dan who constantly goes through all this insane stuff and is crazy. He's like legitimately crazy. And I do not trust him. I do not trust him at all. I do not trust him at all. You know, he's basically if Alex Jones was a cartoon character, it'd be this guy. There, I went off topic a little bit, but that's fine. Basically, the stories are designed to have the look and the feel of an actual TV episode. Like you're actually reading an actual episode of the TV show, like something you would actually expect. And I think that's a really cool idea. It's very niche, mainly due to the fact it doesn't work on every single type of story. Like if you do an anime fan, you can't do this in anime. You can't do this in movies. You can't do this in comics. Well, possibly do it in comics. You can't do it you can't really do it in certain ways. Like you could do it in maybe anime, TV shows, and cartoons. That's really it. You're really much just restricted to those ways because of how the story is structured. It's supposed to be structured like an episode. You can't make it if it's a book or movie. You know, it's weird. It's weird like that. And second off, this is also an anthology story. Basically, an anthology story is a type of story that is basically a group of stories that are interlocked over by an overarching theme or an overarching plot. It's very much a very basic type of story. It has a lot of uses when it comes to like beginning writers and writers who are experienced. Like if you want to anthology stories, if you want to practice writing with other types of prose, like past present tense, or like having like a very past future tense, like any type of writing style, you can easily use an anthology story to do that. You can also use it to practice storytelling, how everything works. Like it's a very much a tool that everyone needs to know how to do to write, because you can easily use it to practice, perfect stuff, and everything. And the problem I didn't do an anthology story until now is mainly because one, no one really asked for it, and two, these are a general pain to review, mainly due to the fact that since each chapter is its own individual story, that makes reviewing it exceptionally hard, because how are you going to quantify reviewing each chapter by itself when you can just, most people will just read that one chapter, then go to the link and then read the rest of the story. So that made things kind of hard of how am I supposed to do this? And I thought, since Yan Yan basically asked me, said, hey, can you review the story? And I'm like, it only has 2 chapters, so it's only 2 stories. From the looks of things, he may continue it. But I don't know, so I thought I'll give it a shot just one time. Mainly due to the fact I have no idea how this is gonna work. So I thought, let's give it a shot. So, what's the plot? So the plot is basically it's supposed like each chapter is supposed to be each individual episode dedicated to the wacky adventures of Dan and Chris. Now, I don't. I. Pile of secrets. There. Let me just silence that. Note to self: silence phones when you're recording, so that way you don't hear Dracula. Um. Basically, the whole each episode is basically it's just each chapter is an episode. The first chapter has Dan. He wakes up. Now, before I continue, I at least want to say I've heard a lot about Dan versus the TV show. I never seen it, but I heard like a ridiculously lot about it. I heard it was good. I may see a couple clips online after I finish recording this. Who knows? So Dan's is very much this conspiracy theory. He thinks everyone's out to get him. He's basically, I guess you could say, schizophrenic in a way. Schizophrenic without the schizophrenia. I don't know. He's weird. Like I don't. Like I said, I don't know enough about the show to really get the characters. So take it at what you will. So the first chapter actually starts off with Dan waking up, and then he sees that this pesticide truck spraying this chemical, and he gets pissed. He's like, "Hey, don't spray the trees. We only have a couple trees." And it's like, "Oh, we finally got a pesticide to get rid of these trees." And then the truck backs up into his car and dents the bumper. I can't remember if it dents the bumper or no, it drops the bumper. It actually breaks the bumper apart. And gets pissed, and he said, "I will get revenge on your company." And then he goes to his friend Chris's, who's basically a doormat. And so he basically tells Chris, like, we're gonna go to this pesticide place, and we're gonna destroy it. We're gonna blow it up. And he's basically just trying to get revenge for his car getting done, which actually it's actually pretty understandable. Like, if you're literally, I mean, he actually was in full right to sue if the car actually hit his car and drove off. That's technically qualified as a hit and run, so technically Dan could actually sue. So, But no, instead of going the simple way, he says, you know what, we'll somehow get into that plant, we'll blow it up. It's like, okay. And then Chris's girlfriend says, oh, something's going on with the plant from, apparently she's an FBI agent or CIA. I'm just going to say FBI because I'm not taking chances. Said that they may have chemical weapons, and so she goes off to try and find out the truth. And then we get the CEO guy who's very overly paranoid because his truck driver delivering the chemical weapons. Yes, they had chemical weapons. Got drunk on the job and crashed it, and now he's like super spooked. Otherwise, constantly the first chapter is constantly going through these three characters. Dan and Chris, Elise, and the CEO. I can't remember the CEO's name. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So Dan manages to sneak inside the plant. Him and Chris get inside the plant after Dan gets tased. And so they're like, let's just fuck shit up. And it's like, okay. All the while, Elise is in the plant, just beating up people and being a general badass. And so she manages to catch the guys by killing them, and the CEO. Meanwhile, Dan manages to convince Chris that just start whacking stuff, and just generally just breaking the pesticide things. And so they drive off, and they go like, "Hey, we broke it." It's like you don't think the cops are gonna come after us, right? No, I don't think. And then the plant just blows up behind us, and they see like a bunch of helicopters, which are there for CEO, not for them. It's like, I think we may get considered terrorists now. God, man, drive! Ah! I didn't like the first chapter, mainly due to the fact it felt a little disjointed throughout the story, mainly due to the fact it kept juggling between three characters. Like I said, I don't know how the show works. I don't know how the show is formatted, so this could be very much like what happens in the show. like I said, I'm probably gonna watch a few clips of it. But then we get to the better of the two chapters, where Dan's house burns down. And I actually love this chapter more than the factory. I thought the factory was okay, like nothing spectacular, but it's like all right. But I love the second because I thought that was hilarious. So Dan's house burns down. He instead of blaming himself because he's the one who cooks stuff that started the fire, he blames it on the cookbook and on the kitchen appliances. It's like, there's the kitchen appliances that made me do this. They're the ones who burned down the house. Ah! So he goes to Chris's house. Hey, I'm gonna sleep here. It's like, wait, what? Why? My house burned down. Wait, what? It's like, you burned down the house? No, the kitchen appliances burned down the house. Meanwhile, Chris is kind of having a mental crisis because he kind of starts convincing himself that his wife is cheating on him. So it's like, that's not bad. But then we get a lot of shenanigans from Dan and Chris. They go to a health market, like a farmer's market. And so it's like, we must put a stop to this healthy food because it's evil. We need to have best food. And so they go to these food trucks. And it's like, hey, you see those farmer garden? Yeah, one of them's smoking, one of them's drunk. He's like, we know a way you can help. You can get customers. And so their plan is to literally just have all four trucks drive and run over the farmer's garden, park there, and say, you want the food? And no one's biting at first because they're all panicking. He's like, oh, we lost all this health. He's like, try free food. It's like, all right, free food. It's like, what? Free food. Ah! And so Dan drags us like, yeah, we did a good thing. So yeah, I got to eat. And then we get another little intervention, like another little intermission of them talking and stuff like that. And then they get to the next part where they said we're going to go to this thing where these as seen on TV home shopping network stuff is being sold, like rip-offs of like the ShamWow and stuff like that. We even got like a rip-off of Billy Mays and that one guy who did the ShamWow thing. And so Dan is like, you keep him distracted. I'll go to the back and just break up stuff. And so he's just like, and so we get like a little hilarious moment with Chris talking to the ShamWow Wow Sham guy. And Chris manages to find out it is a sham because he does like the ninja bullet thing, and he hits it too hard. Batteries pops. Hey, this is running on batteries. So he grabs the Wow Sham and said, "This is just paper towels and rags." He's like, oh. And so literally the crowd turns on him and just starts beating the crap out of him. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was executed so well in terms of plot and it made a lot of sense because a lot of these home shopping networks type of thing turns out to be very fragile or actual sham. I know some stuff is actually not a sham, like a ShamWow. My grandfather actually has it and it actually works wonders for him. So I know the ShamWow works, but I've heard things about the Ninja Bullets like being being overly fragile. Like if you hit it too hard, even if you put like a little too much pressure on it, it'll break. So take to that what you will. But these are things I've heard. Nothing's been confirmed. I just know the ShamWow works because my grandfather has a bunch. That's it. So they managed. So Chris is like very happy, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do it. It turned out to actually be a scam, and Dan is actually right for once, and I actually like the idea behind that because a lot of conspiracy theories, every once in a while, the conspiracy theories actually turn out to be right. Very rare, but it does turn out to be right. And conspiracy theorists were the ones who accurately guessed the world was round instead of flat. Like everyone thought it was flat, and then the conspiracy theorists caught up and said, "No, it's round." And then we got Copernicus confirming that it's round. It's not round. It's not flat. It's round. So conspiracy theories actually won that debate. it might actually still happen. And so Dan's like, no, we must strike at the heart. We must go kill Betty Crocker. I'm like, what? What? I'm like, I'm actually laughing at this point around when he's just saying, we must kill Betty Crocker. Like, Betty Crocker. And Chris is like, Betty Crocker's not a real person. I said, au contraire, she is a real person. We're going to go to their headquarters and we're going to kill her. And so Dan and Chris, they go to the Betty Crocker headquarters. They manage to sneak in there. And they manage to get inside the room where this old lady is like, his old lady's like writing recipes. And Dan has a crowbar. Says, ah! Like, no, are you here to help? No, I'm keep writing recipes. Don't kill my family or kill me. And Dan is like, what? What? It's like, you're not working for them? I said, no. Thank you, please save me. I'm like, what? And then some guy who, um, then she says her name was like Beth something. I'm actually gonna look at the chapter right now. Let's see. Let's see. Where is she? I'm at the part. Yeah, apparently they kidnapped her. They kidnapped her. Her real name is Mary Suzinki. And she's been locked in that room for a couple of years. She was she was kidnapped and threatened with her family. If you don't write recipes, you're gonna die, or they're gonna die. It's like, okay. And so Chris is like, we're gonna do a good thing for once. And so they manage to find the actual culprit, who I shit you not, the shit you not, is a knockoff Gordon Ramsay. Oh, I love that part. I didn't know who it was at first because uh Drongo Smeary. Like that was the guy's name. It's like, who the hell is Drongo Smeary? And then the very next sentence is, where the hell is my finger? Like, and I'm like, no, no, you didn't do a knockoff Gordon Ramsay. I laughed throughout that entire sequence with Smeary. I'm actually a big fan of Gordon Ramsay. Currently, sidetrack for a second. Currently, my still most popular video on my channel is the Kitchen Nightmares one with Oceana. I still don't even understand why that video is still my favorite. I'm gonna keep it mainly because it is my most popular. It's like, okay. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. Um, and so Dan's like actually trying to do the good things. Like, I'm gonna save this lady. Chris, go plant explosives in the factory. I'm gonna deal with this Miri. And so Dan actually starts fighting Smeary with like kitchen utensils, and he has like a hammer. And he has like a hammer. It's like, ah. And so Dan manages to get Smeary on the ground, and Mary, in anger, manages to knock out Smeary, and they escape, and then the factory blows up. And Dan goes home because he's reassured that his girlfriend is okay. And then we get like a little introspective moment of Dan actually being nice. Like Dan, like throughout this entire story, Dan was this very rude, conspiracy-like person who didn't trust anything. And so seeing at the end of him actually doing not only doing a good thing, but just acting insane, just it's actually pretty touching. Like he says, Mary says thank you, said you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. And said don't mention it. And and he teaches Mary a lesson. It's like, look, the world is full of jerks. That's how the stupid, annoying world is built. By jerks! And when the world pushes you, you gotta push back the world. It's a sad, sick world out there, and we can't just let it stop over us. We gotta tell those jerks we won't stand down and let them ruin everything. So seeing him actually nice throughout these entire two chapters, him being a jerk to everyone and being rude, overly prudish, boorish sort of thing, and seeing him have a nice interest at the end, having him actually be nice, like wishing Mary good luck, saying thank you for help, saying you're welcome for helping her out, and then just actually being nice towards the cat. I thought that was a really nice moment, and that's the plot overall. I do like. I didn't particularly like the factory plot, mainly because it just kept juggling through the main character, through Dan and Chris, the CEO, and Chris's wife. I'm not sure if that's how the show is actually structured. I could be wrong. That's up. That's if it is, then tell me, or I'm probably just gonna watch it online. But I did like the the cooking chapter more than the factory chapter because it was more steady. And it actually felt closer to like an actual episode of a TV show rather than the factory episode. Again, I don't know how Dan versus operates in episode structure, so take it out as you will. Characters, we just got Dan and Chris, like and I guess you can say Mary and Gordon. Dan, Dan is a lovable lovable jerk. Like I really loved him. He's a source of a lot of the comedy in this, and a lot of the jokes actually hit home with him. I really liked what Nian Yan did at the end with him just being introspective and being actually nice. I thought that was a really nice change of pace, saying that he's a conspiracy theorist, but he's still a person. He still has empathy. I thought that was done really well. Chris is a doormat. I do like the moment in the cooking where he actually stands up, finds out it's a scam, and helps manages to actually believe Dan for once. I thought that was nice too. And that's it. It's just literally those two characters because Elise doesn't show up enough to really get a handle on her character, and the other characters are just one-off characters, except for maybe like this one guy acting like a hippie, something like that. Grammar. I actually didn't see any grammar errors. I will have to say it's more of a nitpick. Like if you read it on FanFiction normally, everything's like really condensed. So I would suggest probably like space the lines, but it's rendered a mute point because FanFiction.net actually has a line spacing tool that allows you to expand the lines and tighten them. So that's really just a nitpick that's rendered irrelevant by something that you can do on the website itself. So it's just completely irrelevant. Pacing. I thought the pacing was good across both stories. Like I said, the first chapter kind of juggled it, and I thought at least the juggling was done well. It's just I don't know how I just don't know. It's just the pacing was done well with the juggling, but the plot wasn't really done as well on the first chapter. While the pacing was on the second chapter, was actually done really well. It gave us a nice congruent feel to it. It with the intermission sort of thing, like Dan and Chris just talking about stuff, and then going on their next little misadventure sort of deal. I thought it was done really well. So would I recommend the story? This one's kind of hard because anthology stories are literally a wild card. Basically, you don't know whether or not to recommend them or not, simply because since every chapter is its own individual story, it's very, very hard to quantify recommending it or not. Because, like I said, I like the second chapter more than the first chapter, but since they're both individual stories, that kind of how would I quantify it? How would I say I like this story, but but I didn't like the other story. So how would I recommend? How would I recommend it or not based on that? Plus, there's the fact that the story. I'm guessing the story is not really going to be is not finished yet because anthology stories again they occupy this weird middle ground of being complete and incomplete because every chapter is just a story in and of itself. So it makes it really quantifiable, really hard to tell if it's a complete story or not. I mean, the status on the website says complete, so take it at what you will. So, would I recommend the story or not? The thing is, I don't know what to answer for this particular story, or any anthology stories if I do them in the future because I don't know how I would be able to do it. So I would say to you for anthology stories, um, your mileage may vary. You know, if you like it, and you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I can't really recommend or not recommend these stories in any way, simply because of how the stories work. Like I said in the beginning of the video, anthology stories have their purpose. Like they're a useful tool for people to learn how to learn different tactics, learning reading styles, how to write different characters, and how to really work on their characters. It has a lot of useful tools, but when it comes to a review, it kind of makes it hard to do. So that's why this video is kind of a clusterfuck the entire time. Favorite part, I mean, literally, and just the whole part with the Ramsey knockoff. I'm sorry, just picture that. Just picture a knockoff Gordon Ramsay kidnapping a knockoff Betty Crocker, kidnapping her, putting her in a factory, said, "You're gonna write a recipe every single day, otherwise I'll hurt you really hard." All the while acting like Gordon Ramsay. Like, I kid you not, even at the beginning in the fight, um, he even does like yeah, the author even does the chicken, the raw. That chicken was raw. You can't have a Gordon Ramsay knockoff without at least one, without a single raw joke. It's impossible. You gotta have one nod towards the raw. The whole raw thing. Like this chicken was so frozen, it was started in that movie Frozen. Like I know that joke was bad and I should feel bad, but that's the first one I thought of. Or I got one. That chicken was so raw it clucked at me. I couldn't resist. And I just really love the whole fight because just having a knockoff Gordon Ramsay, just just the whole concept of a knockoff Gordon Ramsay being evil and kidnapping people and just smacking people while talking like Gordon Ramsay is just hilarious. But that's my review. I do apologize for the haphazard structure of the story. Like I said, anthology stories are not easy to do, hence why I kind of avoid them because they're just because of how they work. It just makes things hard. So tell me what you think of the story. I'll be leaving a link to it in the description. And tell me which chapter. Actually, tell me which chapter did you like more. Did you like the factory chapter or did you like the cooking chapter? So this has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.